Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleam, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
You may be seated. Thank you so much, Mr. Haynes, and Mr. Andre Small, who played our students into the auditorium with pomp and circumstance. We appreciate your inspiration this evening. At this time, I'd like to introduce our special guests and staff members seated on the stage. Dr. Aaron C. Spence, Superintendent of Virginia Beach City Public Schools. Dr. Mark Bergen, Chief of Staff. School Board Chair, Mrs. Beverly Anderson. Tonight's student speaker, Mr. Galen Wilson. Dr. Heather Lamb, Adult Academic Coordinator for GED. Ms. Melissa Lee, our keynote speaker. Mr. Daniel Keever, Senior Executive Director for High School Education. And school board members, Mr. Dan Edwards, Mrs. Sharon Felton, Mrs. Dottie Holtz, Mrs. Trinace Riggs, Mrs. Carolyn Rye, Mrs. Sandra Turner, GED instructor, Mrs. Natasha Christian, Adult Academic Coordinator for ESOL, Ms. Elaine Little, GED instructor, and representing the Thalia Lions Club, Mr. Robert Perrine, and Mr. Franklin Williams, GED instructor. In the audience, we are pleased to have with us Ms. Eileen Cox, Chief Media and Communications Officer. Raise your hand for us. And Dr. Lakeisha Parrott, Director of Opportunity and Achievement. We'd also like to extend a welcome to all Virginia Beach Public Schools staff and Mrs. Joyce Halstead and members of our graduation committee who were so instrumental in organizing this ceremony. and of course all members of the Adult Learning Center faculty and staff. And I would also like to publicly thank staff members who are critical to our success in operating the largest GED testing center in the Commonwealth. Mrs. Joyce Lovett, Mr. Dan Stringent, and the GED examiners who are present this evening. Thank you all for protecting the integrity of the testing process in Virginia Beach. Finally, Mr. Danny Little and his staff at Princess Anne High School, who shared their lovely auditorium with us, and Mrs. Marianne Laughter, Mr. Jim Lafleur, Mr. Jim Long, and Mr. David Rose from the Office of Student Activities. "15 years ago, the Adult Learning Center joined the state's Race to GED initiative. The mission of this was to reach the over 700,000 Virginians without high school diplomas, encouraging them to earn a GED certificate and to increase the state's and even the nation's economic vitality. This mission continues, and we gather this evening to honor those who have not only accepted this challenge, but who have also met the challenge by earning their GEDs. During the 2017-18 school year, the Adult Learning Center has administered the GED exam to 290 individuals, which is the most in the state, and we had 179 completers, which also leads the state. We still have students who are back home diligently working in classes preparing to meet this challenge in the future. But tonight, we have 73 individuals earning a credential who chose to participate in tonight's ceremony. Thank you. And you'll notice tonight that we also have our 4th cohort of graduates who participated in Opportunity Inc.'s grant-funded Foundations Transition Program. This program supports 18 to 24-year-olds who desire to achieve their GED certificate. These grads can be identified tonight by the gold cords they are wearing. My staff and I know that anyone who earns a GED credential becomes a more responsible and more productive member of society. It is extremely gratifying to see students work so diligently to attain a goal, and I would like to share some information about tonight's graduates. Among those participating in this ceremony are 24 individuals who formerly attended Virginia Beach High Schools, 5 who left surrounding area schools, and 13 who left schools in other states. In addition, tonight's graduates represent the countries of China, Ecuador, Germany, Guatemala, Honduras, Indonesia, Italy, Jamaica, Mexico, the Philippines, and Africa. They are a truly diverse group. As for future plans, 13 of tonight's graduates are enrolled or will be enrolling in Tidewater Community College. 3 students will pursue training in the medical fields. 2 are enrolled in Adult Learning Center medical translator and pharmacy technician classes. 2 are enrolled in post-secondary proprietary schools around the region. And 4 are enlisting in the armed services. We have future accountants, nurses, teachers, criminal justice and computer techs, as well as chefs, welders, and designers among our graduates. Recognition and appreciation must also be extended to the family members and friends here tonight who provided much needed support and encouragement as our students work toward their goals. Let's join the graduates in thanking their friends and families.
Tidewater Community College has been one of our school partners for the past 27 years. And one of the most beneficial aspects of the partnerships for our students is the opportunity to apply for a scholarship to the college. A scholarship funded by the Thalia Lions Club, another one of our partners since 1995, will be presented this evening. At this time, Mr. Robert Perrine, member of the Thalia Lions Club, will explain the scholarship and present it.
Good evening, I'm Lion Bob Perrine, Scholarship Chairman for the Thalia Lions Club. You guys moved. Thalia Lions Club and your Adult Learning Center, we kind of grew up together. This is 33 years for you guys. We've been here about the same number of years. So, since you all moved down to Kempsville, we asked the Kempsville Lions Club, can we continue with you guys? And they said, of course. The Lions Club is the largest club in the world. There's over 35,000 Lions. We use 100% of our money for diabetes, salt and hearing impairment, and various community projects, like this one that I'm going to give some scholarships tonight. We're sending 2 checks to Tidewater Community College for use in paying tuition to 2 hardworking and resourceful men determined to succeed. I'd like, first of all, for the scholarship for $1,000 going to Hunter Perez to please come up and accept the award. Congratulations. This will explain everything. Thank you. I took the place about 3 years ago of Ed DeLong, who for 20 years was here on stage giving out scholarships. He's passed away, and I've taken his shoes. And we created the Ed DeLong Memorial Scholarship for $500. And that scholarship this year goes to Gianni Miranda.
Good evening, everyone. Tonight is an intentional night of celebration, one that showcases the success of our students who have achieved the honor of earning their GED through determination, commitment, persistence, and dedication to the goal of completing this phase of their education. This indeed is a milestone in their lives. We continue with the celebration as we proudly present gift cards to the following students who have earned the 3 highest total GED scores. The gift cards, which total over $700, are being presented to each of our high achievers. Each gift card has been donated by the Friends of ALC, as well as various community businesses within the Hampton Roads area who support the education program here at the Adult Learning Center. Now to our achievers. As your name is called, please come forward to the stage where you will receive your gift cards. First, we'll begin with the 3rd highest GED test score, Hunter Perez, who is receiving gift cards totaling $217. Congratulations. Next, we'd like to introduce our second highest GED test scorer, David Lawrence, who is receiving gift cards totaling $237. Congratulations. Finally, for the highest GED test scorer, Herbert Hammett, who's receiving gift cards totaling $252. Congratulations. To all of our students, thank you for your tenacity and your ability to never quit.
Good evening. I am honored to stand before you on this exhilarating 23rd of May to introduce our Adult Learning Center 2018 student speaker. I, along with my peer educators, share in this special moment as we have all been touched by his very personal and unique journey. This introduction is especially meaningful as I know it has been a long time coming. Yes, from the lyrics of Sam Cooke, it's been a long time coming, but his change has finally come. Change being recognized as something different, new, not the same, and his change having occurred over time. Understand that he evolved. His change did not occur on the day he earned his diploma. No, it was a process, one we all anxiously observed over time. I use the adverb anxiously because this student's road was like that described by Langston Hughes in the poem, "Life Ain't Been No Crystal Stair." Mr. Hughes wrote, "Life ain't been no crystal stair. It's had tacks in it, splinters, and boards torn up, places with no carpet on the floor, bare. But all the time, this student was still climbing, moving toward his change. And it came. In spite of adversity, despite of loss, and as a result of believing in his own dream. As you will soon recognize, this young man has taken life's lemons and made lemonade. He has found his once deemed mountaintop and decided to climb a little higher. He has boldly stared his obstacles in the eye, raised his chin, and walked on by. And even though his journey was stalled, it did not stop. His process, his evolution continues. You see, on the day he earned his diploma, he began his college registration. My friend, change is still coming. With that being said, I present to you a husband, father, entrepreneur, and more than a conqueror, Galen Wilson, ALC 2018 graduate and student speaker.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Phew. Wow. First, I would like to thank my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Without him, none of this would be possible. I would like to honor every teacher at the Adult Learning Center. I just want to say thank you. for taking the time to teach me as well as my fellow graduates. To the class of 2018, I'd like to say, job well done. We have achieved our goal. I would like to thank some very special people. Dr. Lamb, Mrs. Turner, Mrs. Fellows, Mrs. Little, Mrs. Wilson, Mrs. Bruton, Mrs. McGovern, and an awesome math tutor, Mr. Harris. My mother always said to me, give me my flowers while I'm living. So I'm giving you all your flowers now. I'm very humbled that I was asked to be the keynote speaker. I never thought this would happen to me. Over 4 years that I've been at the Adult Learning Center, I've been through the fire. But I always knew God wouldn't put no more on me than I could bear. After completing the 8th grade, I dropped out of school. I had not attended school for over 20 years. After a lot of encouragement from my wife, at the end of 2012, I finally decided to return to school by registering for night summer classes. Soon after entering the ALC, my wife was diagnosed with MS and fibromyalgia. I started thinking, every time I go forward, a stumbling block gets in my way. When I talked with Dr. Lamb, she encouraged me to take some time off and take care of my wife. I did just that. Once school was back in session, I returned as a daytime student. Even though I worked hard in class and gave it my best, I was always thinking about my beautiful wife. I would study a little here and there, but my mind was on my wife. I love that woman. I love that woman. Well, I decided in 2014 to take a shot at the language art test. I passed with a score of a 147. And when you pass a test at the ALC, congrats come from a lot of people, teachers as well as students. I said to myself, I'm going to get my GED. The year 2015 was a rough one. I had seizure in class. The EMR was called. My wife was already sick. I'm in and out of the hospital. From 2000 through 2014, I had 4 back surgeries, hooked up to all types of wires for brain procedures, and then my driver's license was taken away. My thought was, man down. Well, if that wasn't enough, January 27, 2016, I had a 5th back surgery to correct a fusion. In March 2016, still believing God in the goal I set for myself, this strong and determined man you see here came back to school again. Many were saying he's not going to get his GED, but I kept on going. On November the 7th, 2016, I received a call from Maryview Hospital in Portsmouth. My son, Taquan, had an asthma attack and lost oxygen to his brain for about 30 minutes. I knew I had to call on a higher power to get me through this one. and that's what I did. I returned to school the next day, showed Dr. Lamb a picture of Taquan hooked up to all those machines. Her question was to me, "What are you doing here?" A week went by. I was determined to still pursue my dream of getting my GED. My son was steadily getting worse. On November 15th, 2016, 8 days later, my son, Taquan, passed away. Immediately, I called Dr. Lamb. She encouraged me and consoled me as only she could do. After burying my son, Taquan, I returned to the ALC. Some of the teachers asked me, "What are you doing here?" I replied, "I'm going to get my GED." Even though I was hurting on the inside, I kept it moving. I kept my focus on the prize. When I passed the social studies test with a score of a 146, I started to see some light. I told my beautiful wife that I saw myself walking across the stage, and I held on to that vision. Thank you. In February, I asked Ms. McGovern for help in science. She gave me a science book, which helped me pass the test on February 23rd, 2018. I passed the science test with a score of a 147. Now, I was in this special teacher's class, Miss Turner. She knew I was struggling in math. She began to break down every problem so that all of the students in her class could understand, but I still couldn't get it. Miss Turner, this special woman, would send me to Mr. Harrison, the math tutor, and it began to get better. I kept all my notes Mr. Harrison was teaching. Miss Turner pushed me to take the GED ready. I did so 2 times, and it was always very close, but not close enough. One day I was leaving class, very discouraged. I asked Miss Little, another special lady, to help me. She gave me words of wisdom that I would never forget. I taped it on my wall, I put it in my cell phone, and I read it every morning, and it is still there to this day. Miss Turner and I declared that I would take the math GED test and pass it on the first try. That is exactly what happened. May 5th, 2018 was the best day of my life. I passed my last GED test with a passing score of a 146 in math. Out of all my classes, the math GED test was the one I struggled with the most. I passed it after. From that point on, I remember God keeps his promise. He promised to help me get my GED. He did. Currently, I'm enrolled in TCC for Business Administration and Management. We now have a family business, Galen and Son Mobile Detailing. We did it, Taquan! We did it, Taquan!
Thank you so much, Galen, for sharing your story with us. Very inspiring. It is now my pleasure to welcome Miss Melicia Lee, a product of Booker T. Washington High School, Norfolk State University, and Virginia Wesleyan College. to bring remarks to our students tonight. Ms. Lee's background for developing programs began in the late 1960s when she assisted the executive director of Tidewater Business and Contractors Association to create this nonprofit that assisted minority businesses throughout Tidewater. Later, as an employee of Virginia Beach's Department of Housing and Neighborhood Development for almost 30 years, she created a home sharing program to decrease homelessness. She also created a program for underprivileged, low-income youth throughout the city. During her tenure, Ms. Lee received several city managers' creativity awards, most notably City Employee of the Year. Ms. Lee also received the YWCA of Southampton Roads Women of Distinction Award and the All States From Whence We Came Award. As an employee of Virginia Beach's Department of Human Services, she coordinates a program to get recipients of SNAP into certified educational programs to promote sustained, viable employment for their future. Ms. Lee also serves on the Hunton YMCA Board and the City of Virginia Beach's Extension Leadership Committee through the Virginia Cooperative Extension. A family proponent, Ms. Lee is married to her childhood sweetheart, with 3 children, 6 grandchildren, 5 great-grandchildren, and 2 grandsons in love. I know I like that too. And we are thrilled that she could join us today to address our graduates. Please join me in welcoming Ms. Lee.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm privileged to be here to be your guest speaker, and apparently they know that I'm long-winded because they have my speech here, and they told me I have to finish in 5 minutes. So hopefully I will finish by tomorrow if you give me an opportunity. Again, thank you for inviting me, Dr. Lamb. I call Dr. Lamb one of my godchildren because she's a pain, but I still love her. Thank you very much. Listen, all those accolades, and you think that maybe I'm important. Well, let me share something. I've been told I'm a storyteller, and hopefully you'll listen to the stories that I have to tell. Now, graduates, as this is the first day for the remaining of your life, my objective this evening will be to set the foundation for your future. I am told again that I'm a storyteller. You see, I have sat and watched my parents, friends, business partners, enemies, and children walk through life with experiences that have brought many tears and smiles. My rearing dates back to a place in Norfolk called Rosemount. I had no idea I had been poor until I sat in a Model Cities meeting during the 60s. I'm real young, as you can see. At that time, Model City has specific targeted neighborhoods that were designated for rehabilitation, but I like to call it destoration. That's my derivative of destroying neighborhoods. It was in this meeting that those at the top of the spectrum decided the fate of many of those poor folks. I had no idea they were referring to me because my parents, with their many issues like all of us, made it clear that I was to succeed by any means necessary. My mother never finished elementary school because her mother died during childbirth, and her brother raised her with limited funds. With her limited education, she built 2 houses from the ground up, and she served as a foster mother for the Norfolk Social Services Department. While my father, with his 5th grade education, worked for Norfolk Naval Shipyard and brought home the bacon for this educationally deprived woman to manage. Their goal was to succeed by any means necessary. My mother-in-law was also a product of the same neighborhood. At 18, she married, and by the time she was 23, she had 5 children. her husband decided to escape the bonds of matrimony. Just an aside, my husband never saw his father again, but he was determined to make it through life. And now that same man who never saw his father has a master's. You see, I get sidetracked a little, so you gotta bear with me. Well, that mother-in-law of mine was on welfare, which is now called TANF, food stamps, and Medicaid. But she was determined not to allow Rosemount and Henry Lee Sr. to decide her future. She received her BS by the time she was 50 and secured jobs along the way that stamped security for her future by any means necessary. At her age, was graduating from college possible? Well, she made it possible because she wanted to survive. Well, I know you say they were just stories, but they were real people like you, people who were destined for failure. They decided that regardless of what they had experienced, the experiences wouldn't dictate who they could become. Even though they had to fight to make it, the fight secured and stabilized their future. So I speak to you who may have had difficult parents who told you that you were destined to be nothing because they settled for nothing. Or teachers, now not here, maybe in high school or elementary school or even in secondary school, who couldn't see beyond your failures and told you to give up. Or maybe you had a child at an early age and lost your dreams. Or maybe you were told that you had limited innate abilities to learn. Or maybe you had been caught up in the world system and found yourself incarcerated because you wanted to belong to a gang, to money, or just because. Well, I have great news for you. You can get out of that mindset because you have been endowed with gifts and talents you aren't using. Stop looking at the world through distorted images of what you can't do. Start setting goals and place them on your bathroom mirror so that every day you are reminded that you have steps to take to secure your future. Dorothy Steele, who played the merchant tribal elder in Black Panther, started acting when she was 88. Les Brown, a motivational speaker and formerly married to Gladys Knight, was labeled intellectually disabled, or as you say, mentally retarded. Einstein, the great physicist, taught himself because he said he didn't like rote learning in school. Oprah Winfrey didn't allow molestation to dictate her fate. Bill Gates, founder of Microsoft, dropped out of Harvard University. You can make it by any means necessary. Thank you very much, but before I end, I would like for Miss J.M., I call her Miss J.M., she's a graduate. Are you here tonight? Thank you. And the reason I'm having her to stand, because we at Social Services are proud of you. She participated in the program. We gave her money in March. She came here in April, and today she's graduating. That's who you need to clap for. I didn't get permission to tell you the many trials and tribulations that she came through, but she made it, and we congratulate her for that. Mr. Wilson, yes, indeed, you were the keynote speaker. Your history just touched me in a way that I'll never forget because you didn't give up, and I thank you for not giving up. This is the epitome of my speech, by any means necessary. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Lee. We really appreciate hearing your inspiring words tonight. I will now ask Dr. Aaron Spence, our superintendent, to join me as certificates are presented to our graduates. Graduates will be receiving their certificates as they cross the stage. Mr. Williams?
Essie Sandra Atzigo. Elisa Ortiz Ariana. Karen Balanza. Dorina Balderson. Veronica Barrio-Nueva. Amanda Besta. Willow Becker. Michelle Bognar. Abigail Bolds. Mary Bolton. Jamie Bond. Jarius Brown. Ben Byers. Dante Corprew. Bailey Creekmore. Christopher Creekmore. Anthony de Guzman. Alden Edge. Sierra Elliott. Elisa Funaro. Celeste Garcia. Amanda Gates. Nancy Goodiel. Shirley Geeden. Herbert Hammett. Kristen Hoff Crook. Teresa Nicole Hearn. Ritzy Hernandez. Austin Christopher Hill. and Trent Holman. Jeremy Hudson. Riezda Hurley. Jeannie Francis Imel. Brendan James. And Tasia Jones. Kenyatta Kearney Sr. Awovi Afia Konan. Thank you. Lisa Kukendel. David Lawrence. Jeanette Lynn Lawrence. Maria Marina. Juan Martinez. Jalesa Matos. Isabel Martha Mendoza. Jacob Mikulita. Octavia Lauren Miller. Taylor Miller. Gianni Miranda. Melissa Nowak. Nicole Patricia Oldfield. Tony Page. Hunter Perez. Crystal Antoinette Purdy. Joseph Rastili. Peter Rastili. Shayna Riddick. Sean Smith. Alex Taylor. Amy Dion. Keontae Thigpen. Christopher Thomas. Tyshawn Toussaint. Ayana Warren. James Palmer Weeks. Gaylon Anthony Williams. Emily Worley. And Yeyan Zheng.
Graduates, please rise. Graduates, please rise.
Dr. Riesbeck, as adult academic.
We're not quite finished.
As Adult Academic Coordinator of the Adult Learning Center, I certify that these candidates have fulfilled the requirements set forth by the Commonwealth of Virginia and the School Board of the City of Virginia Beach, and I recommend them to you for your acceptance.
By the authority vested in me by the School Board of the City of Virginia Beach, I accept Dr. Lamb's recommendation and declare that you have met all requirements to be a... Hang on, folks. Hang on. That you have met all requirements to be a graduate of the Adult Learning Center of the City of Virginia Beach. Graduates, it's my privilege to oversee the switching of the tassels signifying your completion of your graduation exercises. At this time, please move your tassels from right to left. Congratulations, you are graduates.